A recent article written for Reuters by Sanjeev Miglani examined a proposal by the Indian government to establish a settlement for between 200 and 300,000 Hindus in Kashmir. The Hindus fled the region in the late 80s and early 90s following an armed revolt against the Indian government's rule. As Miglani described the plan, this week the state government unveiled a plan to set up self-contained, heavily guarded colonies for Hindus who fled their homes and are now living elsewhere in India or overseas. The article continues with a quote from a statement by India's Home Ministry. The Chief Minister assured the Union Home Minister that the state government will acquire and provide land at the earliest for composite townships in the valley. Not everybody is happy with the plan, however. The plan calls for seizing farmland to build the townships, which will be complete with shopping malls, hospitals, and playgrounds. This plan represents a breach in the current rules which prohibit non-Kashmiris from owning land in the state. Even many of the displaced Hindus, known as Pandits, are not excited by the plan. As the president of the Kashmiri Pandit Association, Sanjay Tiku, said in reference to the plan, it will make Pandits vulnerable. Under such circumstances, nobody will come back. An article compiled by the staff at Reuters recently examined the sectarian strife represented by Saudi Arabia's war against Yemen's Houthi militia. According to the article, the Houthi adhere to a Yemeni Shi'ite sect, while the majority of Saudis are Sunni. The government in Saudi Arabia has been careful not to complete the war with anti-Shiite animus. However, clerics in the media in the country have not been so politically correct, and anti-Shiite prejudice is on the rise. For example, in a sermon which can be viewed on YouTube, a cleric at Mecca's al-Qura seminary named Farid al-Ghamdi said of the Shiites, if they manage to win and control the state, the ravaged Sunnis, clerics, women, children, and rulers, and the ruled. They attack just like the lion attacks his prey. In a tweet to his 1.15 million Twitter followers, cleric Saad al-Break used the name of the Saudi operation, writing, "Decisive storm came to sever any ambition of the Safavids to besiege Muslims in their own homes." Safavids were a 16th century Persian Shiite sect in Iran, not the modern Arabian Shia minority. Following the murders at Charlie Hebdo, the Parisian satirical paper, which was attacked by Islamic extremists for publishing cartoons the attackers found offensive to their religious sensibilities, many media resources around the globe struggled with the question of whether they should reprint the offending cartoons. Seda Quran and Hikmet Setinkaya, who work for Cumhuriyet Daily in Istanbul, were two journalists who decided that the images were integral to the story and that censoring them was not an option. As a result, a Turkish prosecutor is threatening the pair with jail time for incitement and acts deemed disrespectful toward religion. Said Quran, "We are being threatened with prison for defending free speech. To threaten a journalist because he or she printed a drawing that does not include an insult can only come from a religious authoritarian government. However, she insists, neither of us will abandon our defense of free speech." Turkey has an official separation of church and state. However, it also has laws making it a crime to insult religion. The country's Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu marched in Paris following the attack and called it an expression of his opposition to terrorism, yet it was he who called for the investigation, which resulted in the criminal charges, which could result in 4.5 years jail time for the Turkish journalist.